Hello, Scott Chocolate here. Continuing my series on Ask a Filipina. Trouble, trouble. What does that mean in Filipino? You cause me trouble. Or trouble, trouble. Well, yeah, I think it could mean several things. It actually does mean several things, I guess, to me. Depends on the context of the conversation. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit later. Probably start the conversation with, maybe continuing on a relationship with a Filipina. The first time I went to meet Hannah, flew into Cebu and she came over from Ormoc on the ferry and we met. So we really didn't have any interaction with anybody that either one of us knew. So it was a very neutral place, I guess, to get to know each other for the first time. But as we progressed in our relationship, second time I came to see her, we had kind of a itinerary planned. We met in Cebu again, but after a couple days, we went to her home city of Ormoc and stayed there so I could meet her immediate family. Now, prior to that, she wouldn't even tell her immediate family when I was coming. They knew I was coming sometime, but they didn't know when. I think she probably spilled the beans to them maybe about a day before I was going to get there. Now, why did she do that? Well, it's kind of simple, I guess. I said in my first video, she's got, 75 first cousins. That is like the biggest gossip train there possibly could be. And if it got out that I was going to be there, I think she knew the result of that, which would be meeting a lot of her extended family that probably was going to engulf a lot of our time, and ultimately just wasn't how she wanted to spend her time with me. I guess she knew that's probably not how I really wanted to spend my time either. So, for the most part, with the exception of only I think about one person, nobody really knew when I was coming. Other than her immediate family who found out a day ahead of time, but none of the extended family, so they really didn't have the opportunity to come see me. We also went we spent a week in a kind of a vacation destination where one of her cousins was staying. Not staying, excuse me, where one of her cousins lives. And of course they didn't know about it either, but they saw it on Facebook a few weeks later after some pictures were posted, and it's like, so she caught hell about that because, didn't, let them know they were coming or call them or anything. But once again, we probably go back to the first statement that had they known, who knows what might have happened, and it was probably best that we were able to spend our time alone. Anyway, so trouble. How does that equate to trouble? Well, once again, it gets out in the Philippines that somebody is dating a foreigner. The expectations are kind of out there that now that particular Filipino has somebody, taking care of them. And, when I say that, I mean it more, not just emotionally, but financially too. So the family can tend to, and I'm talking extended family also, can tend to want to feed off of that to some extent. And, I don't think that's necessarily uncommon. It happens even inside their own families. If there's a part of the family that seems to be doing okay, it's not uncommon for a cousin, married with kids even too, to show up on their doorstep and unannounced, and all of a sudden they kind of just move themselves in. I know that seems totally unheard of in our culture that would happen. Nobody would go to anybody's house here generally without calling ahead of time, for one, just to make sure they're going to be home and they had time to spend with you. But that isn't really the case in the Philippines. They'll just show up. They may drop kids off expecting you to take care of them. They may move in with you. I'm serious. They may just move in with you. And, I've kind of asked about that. I said, well, that's just odd to me, really odd. Why don't you just tell them, hey, we've got enough people here. We really can't afford to take care of more people. You need to, take care of yourselves. But I think sometimes it revolves around guilt. I've always referred to it as Catholic guilt. I was raised as a Catholic, and I think it started, at least for me, from my grandma on down, about guilt. And she taught my mom. My mom, brought it upon me to some extent. But nonetheless, I always referred to it as Catholic guilt. Sorry about that, Ma. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just trying to relate the story here if I can. But so they kind of impose that guilt. Well, you're able to take care of yourselves, and we aren't. So ergo, you should take care of me. And all right. I could understand it, maybe for a short duration, but when he asked, well, how long did these particular cousins live with you? When the answer, I don't remember if the answer was like 1 year or 2 years, but it was a long time. They just moved in and lived with you unannounced, and I've watched other expat videos and stuff where they've talked about this situation, and it's almost to the point of where you almost have to pay or bribe them to get the hell out. Now, I know that's a concept that's totally foreign. But the trouble part, I guess I'm referring to the minute that a Filipino has a foreigner in their life of which they're serious about, that inherent money aspect kind of comes into play. And they assume that, now this Filipino's got money to burn because, all Americans, they've got 3-4 money trees, that they go pick every week. And, the supply is endless. So that tends to cause them a little bit of turmoil, mainly because they may get phone calls or texts or emails or what have you, basically asking for some help. And in reality, they need as much help probably as anybody. At least in this case, Hannah's family struggles. I'm sorry to say, extremely sorry to say that, her father passed away, about 4 days ago. It was Saturday night here, so Sunday over there, but And he had been, dealing with a stroke, and it was pretty well debilitated, you know, incapacitated, if you will. There really wasn't much quality of life, and it was a sad situation. And but all in all, you know, that was the situation. So this week, even currently now, we're dealing with the wake and the family coming to town and the funeral eventually happening in a couple more days. But through all that, the expectation is she's got a foreigner in her life. The foreigner will, step up and take care of the situation. Now, if that person wasn't there, what would they do? A funeral, I don't know what it costs in the United States. I've never had to pay for a funeral, thank God. Let's just say it costs $10,000 in the States to get through a funeral. Well, the general rule of thumb, in the Philippines, it's going to cost 15-20% of that. Everything is significantly cheaper because they just can't afford it. If somebody was, going to charge $10,000 to go through the process of a funeral and burial and a cemetery plot and everything else in the Philippines, and very few people would get put in an official burial spot. It'd just be beyond, what they could do. So nonetheless, it's still a significant cost for them, no different than, $10,000-$15,000 is a significant cost for the average American. But, so what would they do, if they had to come up with that money on their own? Well, there is some capacity to borrow in the Philippines. I don't know if they really have to have some security. I would guess they probably do. So if they have anything of value, a land, a house, they could probably use that as collateral and are able to, to borrow some money. But ultimately, they can get caught in the same credit trap that, a lot of Americans find themselves in, where you borrow for something and you get overextended, and the next thing you know, your income doesn't cover your expenses because you've got a loan that you can't afford. So the other way, if that's not possible, it really boils down to, that's ultimately the most economical funeral possible, and they would rely on donations from family to make it happen. They're pretty resourceful from that respect, in pooling together as a family unit to help with costs like that. But I think for the most part, once there's a foreigner in the picture, that expectation is there, and they're not as concerned about it. Let's say that their expectation is that person has the means to take care of it, so they will. And it almost kind of turns into a little bit of a reversal, that everyone's now there at the funeral, having meals and drinks and socializing, at the cost of the funeral itself. But that similar thing happens here at funerals too. Funerals are kind of it's a mourning of the individual, but it's also a celebration of their life, where family get together, and you can't, once you've gotten over the initial event itself, you have to kind of look past that and enjoy and recollect and remember the times that you had together as a family, and that's what kind of gets you through the whole situation. So, once the person is finally laid to rest and you've had your peace with the situation, you can move on. So, the Philippines, it's the same exact process. A couple subtle differences might be that, the death happened on a Sunday morning. So it was a bit of a struggle to get the appropriate signatures and funeral home and all that stuff kind of lined up on a Sunday. But, they, made it happen and got their father to a funeral home that Sunday evening. And from that time forth, I don't think he's been alone, that I can tell. So somebody has always stayed there to be with them till such time that he is officially buried, that they don't want to leave him alone. So he's there in spirit, and they want to be there for him, with him, until such time that, the official, goodbye has been said. So, this is going to go on for 6 days. It's been Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's Thursday morning there right now. So, got a couple more days. But, so other than that, I would say a funeral is very similar. It's a gathering of the family to remember the life of the person who died. It's a good experience from that respect. But, the trouble thing, it has other meanings, I guess, trouble. I don't know the best way to describe maybe the way they use that term. We use it a little bit different than they do. To get in trouble might be more of being in a predicament or a situation more so than trouble itself. But nonetheless, it's kind of a term that at least my Filipino uses. Trouble. I love it. We get in trouble together. But yeah. So I wish her well. I feel for her. I'm helping her the best I can from where I am. But what can you say? Somebody passed, and it's a difficult situation. But anyway, babe, take care. I love you. I know this is a non-monetized video, so you guys don't have to endure any commercials. So I'm going to make you endure a commercial anyway. So this is a commercial for, I can't read backwards, St. Brendan's Irish Cream. It is the Irish cream with a cute little cap. You can't go wrong. It is best served over ice. Ice. No rice, just ice. So you put it on ice, maybe in a Crown Royal glass. That's what this is. I don't think you can see that, but oh well. You gotta believe me on that one. Crown Royal glass. Oh my. Their slogan should be almost as good as Bailey's at less than half the price. I think this bottle was like $10, 750 milliliters. I think the Bailey's bottle on 2 shelves up, top shelf, it was on the top shelf, I think it was about $26, $27, something like that. So it's ridiculous. So that, cheap ass bastard that I am, It's like, yeah, I can't really tell the difference between the $10 bottle of, Irish cream and the $27 bottle of Irish cream. I know Bailey's is good. I'll give it that. I don't think it's worth, $27 versus this one's 10 plus, this one's got a cute little cap. Did I mention the cute little cap? I mean, look at that thing. It's got a little Irish cap, green little bugger. Fits on any bottle you want. So, you can put it on your wine bottle. You can do whatever you want with it. Yes. So, there you go. This commercial from Scott Chocolate. I think Mila would also like to say hi, I think. Mila, come here. Come on. Maybe she don't. You gonna come here? Come on, Zoe. How about Zoe? Come here, Zoe. My dogs don't want to jump up on my lap tonight, which is a little bit odd. Come here. Come on. Come on over here. Come here. All right. Okay. So this is Mila. You remember Mila? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Zoe, you want to come over here, Zoe? I think I got Zoe convinced you can join the party. Come here, Zoe. Come on. Come on. Come here. Well, we don't have to fight now. All right, Zoe. So this is Zoe. She's officially, look in the camera, Zoe. The camera's this way. There we go. There we go. Zoe, she's officially a half dachshund and a half something else. I don't really know how that all worked, but her dad was a dachshund. Her mom was a little easy, I think. Mom was a whore. Shh, I know, I'm sorry. That's okay, we love you anyway. All right. Okay, all right. Anyway, enough of that. All right. Anyway, I think that's probably it for my Ask a Filipina. Kind of a tough situation we're dealing with right now, but what do they say? Time heals all wounds. So, in a few short months, everybody will be, beyond it, and life will move on. So, anyway, take care.